Veterans Oral History Project. Today's date is October 31st, 2001. The interviewee is Mr. Don MacDonald. Okay, Mr. MacDonald, tell me, what is your full name?
Donald Angus MacDonald.
Can you tell me your date and place of birth?
December 18th, 24, Calgary, Alberta.
Okay, what is your marital status?
Married.
And do you have...
4 daughters.
Sorry. And what's your wife's full name?
Elizabeth Dorothy MacDonald.
Okay. And is she from New Westminster?
No, she's from Edinburgh, Scotland.
And what was her maiden name?
Alexander.
Okay. What are the names and ages of your children?
I can give you the names, but I wouldn't like to quote the ages.
Okay.
Because I can't. Our eldest is Sandy, and she's living in Calgary now. Our second oldest is Catherine, and she's living in Alert Bay, northern Vancouver Island there. The third one is Eileen, and she's living in Port Coquitlam, and the fourth is Mary Ellen, and she's living in Sydney, Australia.
Wow. Do you have any grandchildren?
We have 7 altogether.
That's great. Okay, where are your parents from?
North Uist, the Outer Hebrides of Scotland.
Okay. And did they ever come to New Westminster?
Well, obviously they must have. Otherwise I wouldn't be here, would I? 1925 they came here, and we've resided here ever since.
Okay, so you came here when you were 1 year old.
That's right.
Okay. Could you tell me your current address?
My which?
Your current address.
530 East Columbia Street, New Westminster.
Okay. And what about the different places that you've resided in New Westminster?
Well, when the family moved here in 1925, we had temporary accommodation for about 6 months, I guess, and then we settled at 530 East Columbia and been here ever since.
Oh, good. Good. Okay, what branch of the armed forces were you enrolled in?
Well, I wanted to join the infantry corps, which I did.
And what was your rank and position?
I was a private soldier.
And did you always maintain that same rank?
Towards the end of the war, there was no chance really for promotion. Yes, I retained the same rank. Nothing wrong with being a private soldier either, by the way.
No, not at all. Okay. When did you enroll in the armed forces?
Well, it was, I think, the beginning of June 1944.
Okay. And where did you enroll?
In the old Hotel Vancouver.
Okay. How did your family feel about it?
Well, it was just my mother and my brother. My brother was working with Heaps Engineering in making guns for the Navy, I think it was. My mother was not very happy about it. And I think she prayed me out of going overseas.
She was just worried to lose a son, is that it?
That's right. Well, there's so many in our family that have been killed in wars that I guess it kind of bothered her to think that one of her sons might have the same fate.
Right.
I have an uncle that was the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. They won the Distinguished Conduct Medal, but it cost him his life. That was in the First War.
Right. And so does your family have a history of being in the military then?
Yep, for well over 100, maybe 200 years.
Oh, wow. Oh. Okay. When you enrolled, how old were you?
I guess it was 18 and a half, going on 19.
Okay. And did you enroll with friends or on your own?
I couldn't wait for the rest of them, my schoolmates, so I went over first. Because I didn't have to write exams, I think it was, and then about 10 days later, the other fellows joined up, but we never did get together after that.
Right. Okay, and how many years of service did you complete?
About 2 years.
And what was your discharge date?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. That was I guess it was in 46, the summer of 46.
The summer of 46. And that was here that you were discharged?
Yeah, in Little Mountain.
Right, okay. So what were your feelings? What was going through your mind when you discovered that Canada declared war on Germany?
At that age, it didn't mean a thing. When I was that age, I don't think most of the kids didn't think too much about it, other than the fact that we probably whipped the pants of them, but we almost got ours whipped off in the interval.
When was it that you really started thinking about the war?
Never did think about it.
No?
It was just a thing you did.
Okay. So when you joined, what made you decide to join?
Well, just like everybody else at that age, you're in school on the Friday and on the Monday you're in uniform. So I think everybody did it for the spirit of adventure, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We really didn't know much about war at that time, at that age.
It's just really exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about training? Can you tell me a little bit about your basic training?
Yes. We were in I think it's number 11 District Depot, which was Little Mountain in Vancouver. And when I joined up, they had a bright idea from Eastern Canada, I suppose, that was successful in the eastern portion of the country, and they're going to try it out in the west. And that was, a lot of us fellows that were doing that were skinny kids, 120 pounds soaking wet sort of thing. Well, the idea was they'd fatten us up before we got into full training. Well, with that object in mind, they sent a bunch of us to Harrison Hot Springs Hotel, which was a rest and recuperating center for soldiers that had been taken sick or had broken bones, etc. They wore hospital blues, but we still retained our uniform, and we were really given an advanced, that's the wrong word, I suppose, condensed basic training thing, bayonet drill and marching and that type of thing. And I missed a point here. Well, we had good training, and we were really very well fit. A lot of the older guys that had been there for rest and recuperation thought that our training, basic training, was a great deal worse or stronger or more effective than what they ever had, because we were in really first class shape. Anyway, to make a long story short, the Western Command bit, where we were in, we didn't gain a pound. I think we probably lost more than we gained. So the weight and program of the Army on the West Coast was, in my opinion, just a waste of time.
So you didn't get fattened up at all?
No,
right?
none of us did. Yeah, but it was quite successful back east, but we didn't get anything. Oh, and the captain we had at that time was Captain Arthur Millage, who later was the Land Registry title officer in New Westminster.
Right.
And he held that position for quite a few years.
Okay. Did you do any other training?
No, I remember we did basic bayonet training down the main street of what is now Harrison. Now there was a couple of empty lots. That's about all.
That's about it?
Yeah.
Tell me, can you take me through an average day of basic training?
Oh, well, basic training. Well, I don't think I could, because it's so long ago I've forgotten. We'd get up early at the hotel. We slept in the hotel, The hotel was taken over, and it was not Army life at all. But anyway, we'd have, a good breakfast and go for a route march and calisthenics, bayonet drill, marching. That's about all.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So tell me, after your training, what what sort of activities took place? What did you end up doing?
Well, I guess from Harrison, it was late summer that the unit was transferred over to Vancouver Island. I think it was Gordon Head. And from there, we did more of the basic stuff, obstacle courses and this sort of thing. And from there, we were posted back to the depot, to Little Mountain Depot, to be assigned to either infantry, artillery, or whatever. And much to our surprise, when we got there was an emergency up the coast with the zombie regiments kicking up a fuss about wanting to go home, not to go overseas. And our group in Little Mountain was paraded in the drill hall one night and split in two, one half going to the Provo Corps up in Kamloops, etc. The other half, I don't know where they went. And our duty was, we found ourselves in the Canadian Provo Corps for a couple of months for whatever purpose, I don't know. Possibly to restrain the zombie soldiers from kicking up a fuss when they were passed through on the troop trains back home to Quebec and Eastern Canada.
Can you explain to me what the difference between yourself and the zombie troops are?
Well, the zombie troop troops was probably an unauthorized expression for those soldiers, and there is a proper name for them that signed up to serve only in Canada, no overseas training or service at all.
Okay.
And the general active soldier, volunteers such as we had a little circle G, with the letters GS embellished on it, and that was sewn on our left sleeve near our wrist.
Right. So were the zombie soldiers volunteers then?
No, they were I think conscripts mostly.
Oh, okay. And they were mostly from back east then, eh?
Well, there was some from Western Canada too, but the regiments were mostly back east, Eastern regiments.
And they were stuck up here in BC.
That's right, terrorists and that type of thing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The story we had, which is barrack room rumors, was that one unit had, I think it was in Terrace, had commandeered a 25-pounder and were going to blow the train up if they didn't get back to where they were coming from. And that's why we were spirited into the Provo Corps, which created our NCOs that were training us in Victoria and in Harrison, which gave them a real jolt when they saw all these skinny kids with Provo Corps flashes on and couldn't fight our way out of a wet paper bag, and yet we were in the Provo Corps. They were coming through on leave, and when they saw us, they just about flipped.
Oh, really, eh? So what was it like up in Kamloops?
Oh, it was just routine. The only thing I did in Kamloops was spoil a major's dinner. He was eating in an out-of-bounds cafe, and my buddy and I told him he was eating in an out-of-bounds cafe. He just about choked, but we got away with it.
Okay. What was it like? What did you develop different kinds of friendships during the service?
Oh yeah. You always do, yeah.
And have you maintained those? No. Okay, so you didn't make it overseas.
That's right.
And you were here. What was it like working in Canada as a soldier? How were you treated by civilians?
Oh, great. Well, first of all, when we finished the Provo Corps, which was just a short term, as the emergency passed, we were returned to Depot, and from there we were sent back, when I was sent to Curry Barracks in Calgary for advanced infantry training,
okay.
And then from there to Ontario for a driver's course.
No, so you made it across the country.
Oh yeah.
And what were those courses like? What was the driver's course for?
Well, to drive army vehicles and universal carriers, this sort of thing.
Right. Okay. So you went from
Curry Barracks. When I finished my infantry training, advanced training in Curry Barracks, our fellows were being sent to overseas services, but I think the word was out that they didn't want all these young kids to get overseas because apparently anyway they sent many of us on courses even if we didn't want to go on the course, which I didn't. I wanted to go overseas, but they sent me on this course which kind of broke the trend towards overseas service, and it was in Woodstock, Ontario. They treated us very good there. The people generally were very good to young soldiers, particularly. I know we hitchhiked down to Detroit, was it? Yeah, I think it was Detroit, through Windsor to Detroit. And we hitchhiked back. No trouble at all getting rides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was the environment like in Canada at the time?
Well, I think of it, when we were in Woodstock, some Eastern Canadian unit were training on the other side of the square of the parade square in their huts, whereas we were on the west side, and we weren't allowed to fraternize with the others. Never did find out if they were zombie units or not, but I think possibly they were. So they wanted to avoid any trouble by keeping the active and the non-active troops apart.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Tell me, what about things like mail service and letters? Did you communicate with your mother?
Oh yeah, we got letters, back and forth, no problem there. They were very good, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And the services within the Army was good. The Salvation Army, the Y, a few others. I can't think of their names at the moment. Mm-hmm. We were treated very well. Mm-hmm. The Army life was very good. Lots of times I wish I had stayed in.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah.
What was it like living conditions?
How do you mean in the Army?
Yeah, in the Army.
Oh, it was fine. We had bunks. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay. No, it was good.
Okay.
We weren't spoiled like the Air Force people were. They had sheets and mattresses, this type of thing. But we had palliasses and a couple of woolen blankets, and that was it.
Yeah, enough to keep you warm.
Oh yes.
Did you ever go on leave while you were in service?
You get your 48-hour pass or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and what would you do on?
Well, depending where we were, either might be a dance in town. We would go down to that type of thing, but nothing really too exciting.
And did they entertain you in the evenings while?
Oh yeah, we had various shows and that type of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, what was it like? What was your relationship like with the commanding officer?
We didn't know who the commanding officer was at all. We would know who the immediate lieutenant was, but we were dealt with mostly sergeants and of course a lieutenant. But that's about. We were privates. We weren't the elite to see majors and colonels and this sort of thing. That was far above us.
Except for this major in the cafe.
Yeah.
That's a good story to have, eh? Okay. What was it like having a sergeant around you?
Oh, they were good fellas.
Yeah.
We got on good. Oh, they were good, great guys.
You guys joke around and stuff? Or?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know when we were going back to the infantry in Calgary, we had huts, wooden huts that when it was particularly cold, the insides would get sweat and you'd have frost on the walls on the inside. Anyway, we were heated by a lot of them by natural gas, which to the BC fellows at that time was mostly a strange thing. We were used to solid fuel like coal and wood type burners, but natural gas, we found that you could blow up a French safe with them, and which we did. We tie a bunch together and tie toilet paper to the end of the string, take them outside the barrack, and light the bottom of it, and send them up, and they'd go up in the air, and when they hit the balloons, they would burst, or the condoms, they would burst into flame, which was a bit of forbidden fun.
You got to make some fun out of it all, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, while you were in the service, what do you have one memory or a couple of memories that really stand out for you?
Not really. No, everything was. We were just young and eager and fun, you know.
Yeah.
I liked shooting on the range with this type of thing.
Yeah.
It was just great.
Yeah. Good. What about news? When you heard about news from overseas, what were your feelings? Like D-Day, for instance.
Well, we thought, well, here, our chance is coming soon, sort of thing, but it never did because we were just part of the machine, as it were.
Right. Okay. What about when you found out that the Germans had surrendered? What were your feelings?
Well, I think we were devoid of any feelings by that time. We just accepted things as they came along. And in that time, I remember we were put on guard duty to guard the vehicles for compounds so that nobody would break in and steal them and go joyriding around town. But it was uneventful, really.
Mm-hmm. And I guess
they were calling for volunteers for the Pacific at that time, and that kind of annoyed us a bit because we had already volunteered to go anywhere, and now they were wanting for another set of volunteers, as it were, to go to the South Pacific. Well, we did that. A lot of us did. Some didn't, but most of us did sign up for the Pacific, and we got that octagonal patch, divisional patch. The octagonal patch was made up of I guess, a segment of all the existing divisions: the red, the green, the blue, etc.
Right. Okay. And so you wanted to. So I guess the war was still going on.
Oh, the war in Europe had ceased, but the war in Japan was still going on, and we were looking forward to that. And then they dropped the bomb, and that finished it.
That finished that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you attend any VE Day celebrations?
No, I think we were confined to barracks at that time. Oh, Victory in Europe, yeah. No, I think we didn't get out until a few days after that.
Oh, okay.
And that was it. Take the.
So tell me a bit about your uniform. All the different things. You had the dog tags, like you just showed me, and
yeah. Well, the uniform. Well, I had the cross rifles and crown for an expert rifleman, and.
Oh, you're an expert rifleman.
Well, I think you shot. Just what luck that by shooting you got a grading. You got a grade on the range in your training. You got a grading whether you were a marksman and this type of thing, marksman or an expert. Well, I guess I hit the bullseye a couple of times, so I got caught. But I don't think I could hit the side of a barn door anyway. But anyway, and then the MT I had, that was motor transport. That's for the driving course in Woodstock, Ontario.
Right. Okay.
Just a couple of.
And you had your jacket. You had your pants.
Well, I've still got my uniform. Yeah, I just stuck it in a drawer, and that was it.
Yeah.
I left it away.
Yeah.
There's nothing here that's really funny. We were singing the hymns with the rifle in one hand, steel helmet on the other.
Oh, really?
That's really funny. You got this type of thing.
And so they always gave you a New Testament. They gave you the soldier's handbook.
When you were in the army, that's what they all had that.
Did you have a logbook or anything like that too? Or?
Well. Some of the guys did keep records on what they were doing, but it wasn't my bag at the time. I didn't.
No.
Bother with it. No. I was there, and that was it.
So where were you when the war was declared over?
I think I was back in Calgary after having completed. Yeah, I was back in Calgary.
And did they send you straight home after that?
Oh no, I hung around for a little while and you applied for a discharge. First in, first out was the method of discharging. And of course, there was a while before I got out.
Oh, so they discharged the guys overseas first.
That's right. Longest service fellows first.
Right.
Which is only fair, proper and fair, I think.
Right. So that's why you're in until 1946, I suppose.
That's right.
Right. So what did you do? The war is over.
Well, I during my high school days, I used to work in a millwork company up here, Sashandora, Shaw Brothers Millwork, and I had no trouble. The job was there for me, so when I got out, I went back to work for Shaw's, the shipper there in the office. Yeah.
And okay, so everybody else has been discharged, but you guys from at home here weren't discharged. So what did you guys do for that?
Well, we just did more training, that was all. Training, more fatigues, I guess, more than anything.
Right. What's fatigues?
Well, pearl diving, washing pots,
right,
pans, this sort of thing.
Right,
yeah, that type of thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Anything they could give you to do to keep you out of the way.
So after the war ended, you started working at the Sash and Door place.
Yep.
And have you stayed on there?
No, I didn't stay too long. I went to work for Alfred W. McLeod Limited, which was an insurance and property investment company. I ended up as president of the company there, and I stayed with them until I really officially retired in 1985 or 86, something like that, or 89 was it, somewhere in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about your wife? When did you meet your wife?
Now you're asking embarrassing questions. Well, we got married in 1957, so I guess I must have met her in 1955.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. I was just wondering when you met her after the war.
No, it was long after, quite a while after.
Okay. Do you think that veterans have been treated well over the years?
I think they've been treated quite well, yes. You probably get an odd example where they were mistreated, but I don't think they've got too much to complain about.
Right, okay. And do you belong to any organization?
I belong to the Canadian Legion, yes.
And how do they act as a support group for you?
Oh, I think they're very good. Very well, yeah.
Yeah, you have meetings and things like that?
Well, yeah, I'm not what you'd call an attender, but of any sort, but no, I think they do a good job. Like everything else, I guess their ranks are diminishing.
What about the 50th anniversary of World War II? Did you celebrate that in any special way?
Not in any special way. I think we went to the usual cenotaph type of thing. Yeah. That's about all.
Right. What are your feelings around Remembrance Day?
Well, last year I did lay a wreath at the cenotaph in town here, but this year I don't think I really should, so I won't do it this year. But I think it should be well remembered, because nothing has really changed. We've got this terrorism business on the go now, which I think they will have a very tough time in finalizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've got to maintain the Remembrance Day and the Poppy service and so on.
And why do you think it's important for the kids to attend?
Well, I think number one, I don't think Canada is doing enough to promote its history in all spheres. And I think the history of our war effort is second to no other nation. Canada, and even in the D-Day landings, I think Canada proceeded inland further than any of the other units, American or British. So we're not telling our story, because I think we are a darn good country, and we've got to do more a little more flag waving would not hurt anybody.
Yeah.
It would enhance the country. And I think we should be careful on our immigration policy. I think it's out of control.
Right. Okay. Okay, I think that's probably about it for the interview.
Okay.
But is there anything that you think that you'd like to say that I've missed, or?
No, I think you've done a good job, and I don't want to put you in a libelous position. Well, perhaps I should have mentioned that many of the teenagers, that's the age they would be in when we joined the Army after getting out of school, were really introduced to the military life by the cadet program, which was commenced or instituted in the junior high school level. Like Richard McBride Elementary School, where I went, we had a cadet corps, Army Cadet Corps from grades 7, 8, and 9. And we had our inspection and grand parade down in Sapperton Park across from Royal Columbian Hospital and Knox Presbyterian Church, right at the corner of Sherbrooke and Columbia. And then when we graduated from our grade 9 and moving on to high school, either T.J. Trapp Technical High School, where I went, or to the Duke of Connaught, we were put into the Air Cadet Corps. Each school had its squadron. Our squadron, I think, number was 74 or 75. I think Connaught's was 71 notch above us, higher number than we were. And let's see, what am I missing? Oh yeah, we were all issued uniforms then, the old high-collared blue uniform for the Air Cadets, and we had to wear them 1 day a week for parade. It was compulsory that we had them 1 day a week, wore them 1 day a week. But we were all, those that were, we had our own NCOs, put it that way. And the officers were, of course, our teachers, our male teachers, and they were outfitted with proper officer uniforms with, I think in many cases, like a pilot officer's rank or something to that effect. And that's really what it was.
And so you would march once a week? Is that right?
Oh no, we would drill on a regular basis. I can't recall how often we did it in a week, but we did it on a regular basis. Like learning Morse code and this type of thing.
Oh.
And
Mr. MacDonald, there's one more question I wanted to ask you. You were on the West Coast, so what was it like when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor?
Well, it's on December the 7th, and of course we were still at school age then, 1941, and it was quite shocking, to put it mildly, I suppose. People were quite concerned about it, and it was really quite the thing to hear that they had bombed the daylights out of the Americans at Pearl Harbor. And from then on, I guess people became very suspicious of the Japanese population, simply because they wouldn't know who was an enemy agent and who was a genuine citizen. And a lot of the criticism that has been made towards our government for moving all these people, I think, is really a bit naive. I think possibly the residents that were expropriated did not get really a fair deal on the payment of their properties, etc. But when you think of it, all those fishing boats that they commandeered, how could you possibly tell who was an agent and who was not an agent? There's no way you could. So I think the action they took at the time was deemed to be correct, and I think the people supported it 100%.
Right, I guess there was a lot of fear, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And in a wartime,
things are different.
Things are different.
As we're going to find out with this terrorism business now, we'll find things are different.
Right. Okay.
Right, so there you go.